Our next speaker is going to do something. I know he's knocked my socks off on a number of times on what he's able to do in terms of enhancing a presentation. And so Kevin Moniz, I'm going to get it wrong yet. Anyway, he is doing the title, The Art of Presentation, Master the Skill of Skillfully and Creatively Incorporating Technology into Your Speeches. He is a recognized speaker of have had audiences from 20 to 2,000, certified success coach, a business owner, financial professional who teaches and trains families techniques to get out of debt, plan for retirement, and live a life of financial independence. He's been a member of Toastmasters for 14 years, currently a member of clubs and founders, District 1, District 5, District 100, and I will add soon, hopefully, to be a member of District 12. And I serve in club and district leadership positions. So he will display something that I think you all might be stimulated and learning about, even if we never get to the point where we're sophisticated at doing. Kevin, you're on.
One slide, two slide, red slide, blue slide. This slide has a little star. This slide has a little car. Say, what a lot of slides there are. Which then brings up the question, how many slides should there be? Well, to answer that question, we have to look back in history. Way back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, when gas was only $1 a gallon, or when our caveman ancestors used to take those little canisters to what was known as a drugstore. Back then, canisters, film canisters, came in increments of 12. 12 slides, 24 slides, 36 slides. Or if you were a little bit frugal, like some of us, you would share your canister among college students. One student would come up with 6 slides, another student would share it and come up with his 6 slides. Therefore, it made sense that you would limit the number of slides you had because it used to take a whole week to get your slides when you dropped it off at the drugstore. 6 slides back then was the perfect number. And if you talk to any so-called expert when it comes to slides, he'll always tell you 6 bullet points, the perfect number of bullet points. We all know that bullets serve a purpose. Bullets can stop your audience dead in their track because bullets are meant to kill. In fact, if you've heard that phrase, death by PowerPoint, you can thank those bullets for it. How about each bullet? Everyone will tell you 6 words per bullet, 6 words per line. But let's put this all together. Let's bring it all together and look at it. 6 words, 6 bullets, 6 slides. Do you see anything common in that? 6, 6, 6. When you look at it in its entirety and think of the number 666, it brings a whole new meaning to presentation hell. That's what we are always taught. So then, how many slides should there be? That's all a matter of control. Who is in control of your presentation? Are you, as a speaker, in control? Or is your PowerPoint or whatever presentation software you're using in control? How can you tell? If the words can roll right off your tongue, such as apple, berry, cherry, or 1 banana, 2 banana, 3 banana, 4, I would say that you as a speaker are in control. But when we hear typical PowerPoint presentation speeches, what do we hear? If you've ever been to the corporate level and heard a corporate executive, you will hear something such as, yeah, so my name is Kevin, and today I will be giving you some pointers on presentations because let's start off with point one. Point one, I mean point A. A is for apple. Point two, B. B is for berry, and C for cherry. C is for cherry. Let's go on with one. We have point one. One banana. One banana. Two bananas. Bananas. I think I should be bananas. Two bananas. Yeah, I'll get that fixed next time. Three bananas. Four. I believe it should be 4 bananas, but I'll have to get back to you on that. And that's what a typical corporate presentation is like. But I would tell you, there's no limit to the number of slides you can have. For instance, if I want to present a whole book to you, and if I had a reason to do this, I could easily put up 10, 20, 30 slides. It doesn't matter how many slides I put up. If it enhances a presentation, I will use as many slides as necessary. In fact, if I were to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, today our speaker will give you about 100 slides. Yeah, I would never even tell you how many slides I'm going to present, because if you hear that large number, you will panic, you will run, you will say, let's just go on to the next speaker. And that's understandable, because so many presenters read from their slides. And what happens when a presenter does nothing but reads from a slide, you have elevated the role of the presentation software to that of the presenter, and you have demoted the role of the speaker to that of nothing more than an auditory aid. Don't be an auditory aid. Be a presenter. Present your slides as you need. And remember, those are all visual aids. You, as a speaker, are the presenter. And it all starts with your message. Once you know your message, once you can powerfully present your message with that passion, that's when you can reach out to your audience and potentially make a profit. So then the question is, what is my message? How do I know what my message is? I mean, I do have a puppy dog. Maybe that should be my message. I'm going to deliver a 5 to 7 minute speech on my puppy dog, or my trip to Hawaii. Everyone wants to know about my trip to Hawaii. I'm going to give a speech on my trip to Hawaii. Now, there's nothing wrong with giving a puppy dog speech or a Hawaii trip speech, but I don't believe that's the message of most speakers. They're good because they help you develop your speaking style. They help to alleviate that fear so that when you are ready to develop your message and present your message, you can. But there comes a certain time when you've got to present your message. The question is, how do you determine what your message is? The answer starts off in ancient Sanskrit. In the ancient literature, there is a commonality, 4 phrases that I have found in the ancient Sanskrit manuscript, which are dharma, kama, artha, and moksha, which roughly translate to desire or love, freedom, money, and skill. Those of you who have studied personal development may have heard of these concepts before, because in Japan, they have taken this information from the ancient Sanskrit and developed a concept called ikigai. Ikigai, your reason for being, your life purpose. I have come up with my own concept where I take your speaking ability along with your ikigai, take the confluence of them, and I've come up with this word called speakigai. Your message is your speakigai. And this would really be about a 20-minute message on how to focus and how to develop your speakigai. That will be a future lesson for a future time. For now, just understand, once you know your message, Speaking in front of an audience is easy. Speaking passionately with purpose is easy, but you have to know your message. All this stuff behind me that you see, this is nothing but icing on the cake. If I don't have a good message and I keep throwing up all these pictures and images, then it's nothing but having lipstick on a pig. If I just stutter and hem and haw, and if I don't know my message, if I struggle, if I just read word for word, that's all the message. This is all the presentation software will provide. Nothing but lipstick on a pig. Therefore, always know your message. Some of you may wonder, how do you come up with those images, these slides? I keep creativity, or I use creativity. Many people don't understand what creativity is. Here at Toastmasters, I would say the majority of Toastmasters would identify themselves as being creative beings. But out in the corporate world, very few people would consider themselves to be creative, which is really funny. Because when you ask CEOs, what is one characteristic you admire most or you want to see in your employees, they will tell you it's creativity. But where do most people say they are least creative? At the workplace. Therefore, you've got to go back to your inner child when you felt you were most creative. So what are some of these aspects of creativity? What makes my slides creative? I would start off with minimalism. You will notice that my slides are very simple. No words all over the place, nothing for me to read. In fact, you'd see at most 1, 2, maybe 3 words. I think on my entire slide, besides a quotation every now and then, you're going to see very few words. Simplicity. I keep everything simple. All my slides are very simple. The reason is they are an enhancement to the message. They are not the message. They are the visual aid to the presenter. I can be as complicated as I want. I keep everything here simple. You'll also notice the number of pictures I show. Typically 1 picture per slide. Well, if 1 picture is good, wouldn't 2 pictures be better? Or 4, 9, 16? How many pictures can we cram on a slide? Well, let's take a quick look. Here's a slide with 9 pictures. Does that look better? How about let's reduce it down to 4 pictures? I think it looks a little bit better than 9 pictures. The fewer pictures, to me, it looks better, but let's go even further. 1 picture. I'm telling you that 1 picture looks a lot nicer than 4, 9, 16, or however many you can cram. Just because you can put a lot of pictures on a slide doesn't mean you should. And I know some of you are thinking, no, I don't buy this 1 picture thing. This slide only looks good because that car looks good. That car is beautiful, and that's why that slide looks good. But I would beg to differ, because this car is hideous, and this slide still looks better than showing a slide of 16 cars. Therefore, stick with 1 picture. You may also question, should it be a little picture? Because with a tiny little picture like this, I can put a lot of words here. Yeah, resist that temptation to put words on, and you be the judge. You make the call. Little picture or 1 big picture? I would say 1 big picture is far superior to any number of little pictures. Let's also talk about those words. I've told you that I keep my words to a minimum. Most slides, 1 to 3 words. Here, yeah, there's 1,000 or so words, but I do this for an example, because you know this phrase, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Therefore, stick with 1 picture and you communicate as a speaker all the words that you need to communicate. Now, I'm not saying never use words. There are specific examples. A future time, I'll give you all the different examples of when you need words on your slide. when you need to display words, print words. There are times. That's for a future talk. Some of you may have noticed things are moving in and out all the time. Why is that? Is that motion important? Well, it all depends. When we look at the builder generation or the boomer generation, maybe even the Gen X generation, sure, we grew up in schools where we sat still. We just listened. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Whatever you say, I will write it down. But when you start looking at the millennial generation, and especially Generation Z, what do? They look at this thing, their phone, and then periodically, it'll give them a little buzz. Bzz, 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 because they are so accustomed to things changing on them. They want to see motion. They need to see movement. If you want to reach your audience with your right message at the right time, you've got to cater to what your audience needs. And the younger generation, and right now, the millennial generation is the largest generation in the entire population. The millennial generation needs to have motion. When they see black words on a white slide and they see a presenter reading, you will notice, now even though people here today are turning off their cameras, you will notice that they will turn off their cameras and they are zoning out. Whereas I can present my message to a group of junior high kids and they will be staring straight at it because there are elements in here that are just captivating them, intriguing them, making them want to focus and listen. And what I'm going to show you today, it may seem like I'm doing some sort of magic. Just like with any magician, if you've ever been to Vegas or you've seen David Copperfield, Penn and Teller, Uri Geller, any magician, you may say, I wonder, how do they do that? How did he make that elephant disappear? And even if someone were to show you and tell you and explain to you all the hidden secrets of magic, the question is, would you, as a speaker, incorporate any of it into your message? Remember, you don't want to do anything just because you know you can do it. You want to do it so that it enhances whatever your message is. Much like vanishing a coin. Maybe you haven't done it before, but you know, with a little bit of practice, you can make any coin vanish out of your hand. And you know it's not truly vanishing. It just requires some skill and practice. And everything that you see back here is the same way. A little bit of practice, a little bit of skill, and I'll show you exactly how all this is done in a moment. But before I do that, I have to remind you about Peter Parker's uncle, who once gave him a message. His Uncle Ben told him, with great power comes great responsibility. Always remember that. You do not want to be that irresponsible speaker who just stares at his slides, reading word for word, because you've seen those speakers. You don't like those speakers. They put you to sleep. They just annoy you, especially when a speaker is reading his or her slides. At a certain moment, that speaker will come to the realization, this sounds like it's being read. Therefore, I better make it sound a little more natural. With great power comes great responsibility, right? Don't you hear speakers who read their message and still interject an or here and there? That's why you don't want to read your message. Speak your message from your heart. Learn what your message is. I'm going to show you two ways to do what I'm doing here. As with anything in life, there's always an easy way and a hard way. Let's start with the easy way. What is the easy way to do what I'm doing? Let's look at Zoom. You've got to look at your Zoom client. When you launch Zoom, you'll notice that there's a little number down in the bottom. The number I see on mine is version 5.7.4. What version do you need? You need at least, oh, there it is, nice and big, 5.7.4. The version you need, and if you don't see it, oh, it's 5. If you have 5.0.0, that's an old version, a version you don't want. That, if you do have a really old version, you have to go up to resources, click on download Zoom client, and download the latest client. It doesn't need to be the latest, but you do need to have at least version 5.4.3 to do what I'm about to show you. And remember, this is the easy way. So 5.4.3 is the minimum. If you take the latest version, it will work. Once you start up your Zoom meeting, down in the very bottom, you see this little share screen button. By clicking on that share screen button, it'll bring you to the sharing screen where you can choose what you want to share. Way up on the top, there's a tab that says Advanced. If you click on Advanced, you'll see some options. And one option is PowerPoint as virtual background. After selecting PowerPoint as virtual background, click on Share, select your PowerPoint file. And then voila, you will appear with your PowerPoint slide in the background. You can adjust yourself. When you first do it, you will be a tiny little figure, but you can blow yourself up in Zoom to make yourself bigger. And that's how you can do it the easy way. But this brings up so many questions. Is that what I do? No, because with Zoom, there's always limitations. Whenever you take a shortcut, when you do something the easy way, there are limitations. What's a major limitation? You have to have sharing enabled. For what I'm doing right now, as you can see, it's coming through my camera. I don't have to share anything. If you choose to make me big, you can pin me. If the host wants to make me big, the host can spotlight me, but it's up to the individual. And right now, if the host were to disable sharing, you would still see everything. You would still see me. You would still hear me. So that's one drawback of using PowerPoint, using Zoom to choose a PowerPoint background. The other drawback is that Zoom changes all your slides to stationary objects. Therefore, you would only see images in the back. You would not see any motion, no animations, no transitions between slides. It would be very similar to how you typically see your timer at a club meeting, show a red, yellow, and green light. That would be the same thing. But PowerPoint does it for you so you can use a clicker. So it is easier, and it is something to help you get started. What's the hard way? The way I'm doing it right now, it's a hard way. But why would someone choose to go the hard way route? Because of the flexibility. I use a piece of software called Open Broadcaster Software, frequently abbreviated to OBS. What OBS does is it takes all my inputs, whatever inputs I have, PowerPoint, any YouTube videos or any videos at all, webcams, cameras, any type of video source, any screen I want to share. OBS takes all of those as inputs and outputs them to a virtual camera. So Zoom then picks up my virtual camera. Instead of using a physical camera, right now I'm using a virtual camera, which OBS creates. OBS sends all my images, everything that you are seeing. I'm talking into the camera, OBS picks that up. PowerPoint is being fed into OBS. You are seeing that all through the virtual camera. It takes a while to set up. It takes a while to practice, but it gives you an enormous, tremendous amount of flexibility. What does it take? Yes, you have to have a computer. And yeah, do you need a Cray supercomputer for $20,000? Do you need an i3, i5, i7, i9? There's so much when it comes to computing that I don't have time to tell you, but I will give you the answer. What type of computer? If you want to do what I do with ease, gaming computers. I have found the low-end gaming computers are sufficient. I also have a high-end business computer with an i9 processor and 32 gigs of RAM. That computer is lousy for doing this. But a low-end gaming computer with a gaming graphics card works flawlessly. Low-end gaming computer is what you want. A green screen. Yeah, many people get confused when they hear the term green screen. Oh, it's this expensive curtain material, thousands of dollars. No, it's just a green curtain. I have a green curtain hanging across the back of my garage wall here. $25, $30 for a green screen. And even if you don't want to get an official green screen, you just need to get it green enough. Go to Michael's or Joann's Fabrics, and you can find a greenish screen. And that'll be green enough. And that's a budget screen. In fact, when I first started doing what I'm doing today, you may wonder, well, you have the entire garage. Well, right now I have my garage. But when I first started, I was in my bedroom on a 6 feet by 6 foot by 3 foot space. Not that much space. And I put my webcam up on the bed. Which brings to the question, what kind of camera? Notice that I'm telling you these things in importance. What's the most important? Lights are more important than your camera. You can use a cheapy little inexpensive webcam or camera, but when you flood yourself with lights, that low-end camera will make you look a lot better when you have good lights on. Therefore, lights are more important than cameras. What kind of camera is good? I have a high-end webcam, but right now what I'm speaking to you through is a low-end digital SLR. SLRs have a lot higher resolution, but the webcam would work fine. When you see me sitting down, when we do Q&A, I'll be sitting down. I'll be using a high-end webcam. As long as you have good lighting, even a low to mid-end webcam will be sufficient. But the tiny little dot pinhole camera that you have in your laptop monitor typically will not have enough resolution to be that effective. I think that's it. So I will leave you with the words of David Byrne from the Talking Heads, who says, PowerPoint may not be of any use for you in a presentation, but it may liberate you in another way, an artistic way. Who knows? Back to you, Tom.
Well, okay. I think I have my audio on. Yes, you can hear me speak. That's good. Wow. There's so much for us to learn. I'm sure that there'll be some questions in chat and some comments in chat. So please do that so that Kevin can get some feedback on his presentation. And as you can see, I had okayed him doing a little bit of evaluation of Melissa to impress you with how quickly he can respond to things. If you ever get a chance to see him do an evaluation, that will be a special experience. He can put up immediate things that had just happened, and you can see that kind of feedback and how it works.